The reason I'm sharing this story is because this is what I see in the people that really make it online and in the business space. In the business that I mentor, I went all in. Within my first 12 months, I'd replaced my income. I was like, I'm going all in because the sooner I get to my goal, the sooner I can live the rest of my life that way. If you don't go all in, all you're doing is prolonging the journey to get there. It's going to take longer. Money can be made. Yes, if we went over horrendously, then it wouldn't have been worth the investment. And we don't want to stretch ourselves to the point of that. But if it's worth the investment and you know that it's something that's going to get you the ROI, like sometimes that requires stretching. Sometimes that requires like really digging deep and going there. If you're constantly spending money versus investing it, what happens if you lose it all? Like if you lost your business or your income tomorrow, what would you have to show for it? Would you have assets? Would you have investments? Would you have multiple streams of income, or would you have nothing because you've just been living off that money? People that are more successful, more happy, more fulfilled than you will never discourage you for going after your dreams. The only people that will discourage you for going after your dreams are the people triggered by your success. Okay, strap yourself in, babe, because we have a lot to catch up on. I am going to seriously go so many places in this episode. I've just moved house. It's been a very big era for me the last 6 months. I'm going to deep dive and really vulnerably share a lot that has been going on behind the scenes, and also some topics that I have been mentoring on with both clients, my team, a lot of the big leaders within my team who, once you get to a certain level of leadership and success in your business, you kind of go through the same rites of passage, and I'm going to be sharing these. So strap yourself in, get yourself a glass of Kangen water, of coffee, of whatever is your vice, or keep going on your hot girl walk. I know you all, many of you love to listen while you're exercising, which I love. And let's deep dive, because I hope that I can provide a lot of value to you today on really making decisions out of a deep trust in yourself, even when you feel the fear, even when you feel the fear anyway, even when other people don't understand what you're doing, even when, you know, people that genuinely love you and that you love and care about you may not understand where you're coming from. They may not get what you're doing. That's what we're going to dive into today. So here goes. The house that I'm sitting in right now is an old 70s red brick house. It's got a beautiful view overlooking the hills. I'm in the Northern Beaches in Sydney, and it's right up on a hill. It is very different to the house that I just moved out of. We bought our house 7 years ago, and we ended up, long story short, knocking down, rebuilding. We rebuilt an absolutely stunning house, very kind of beaches, Hamptons vibes. Beautiful landscaping, gorgeous backyard. I'm sure a lot of you saw it in my stories and in my content over the years as well. So we lived there. We knocked down, rebuilt. We moved, we were renting for 12 months, and then we moved back in for about a year and a half. And then earlier this year, we made the decision to sell. And so it was a long journey to sell. Like I'm talking, we had it off market, but available from, I think it was the end of January. So we were doing open houses every Wednesday and Saturday, not just in January, but then we put it on the market around, I think it was around the beginning of March or end of Feb. So, and then we sold in, I'm pretty sure it was late April. So there was months of doing open homes. And I'm talking, when you're trying to sell a house, you want things to be pretty damn sexy, right? I have 3 kids. I have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. Getting your house to look that way when you're a mum and you have kids and you still want to live in your house, right? Like I didn't want everyone to be stressed all the time that everything had to be perfect. But at the end of the day, everything did have to be perfect because we wanted to sell our house, right, for a good price. And so in the end, it was quite a big time, right? So we sold our house, and then obviously the journey began of looking for a house, and we were looking for our next renovation job or knockdown rebuild. So we were going to open homes every Wednesday and every Saturday. We had a 10-week settlement. We were like, that's plenty of time. 10 weeks is heaps of times. Most of the time people have a settlement that's like 6 to 8 weeks. So we had, built it into our contract that it was a longer settlement period. So went to all of these open homes. Every Wednesday, every Saturday was our life, like going to open home, open home, open home. A couple we didn't get, and the market started to really go up in Sydney here. So we were like, okay, we really got to get our act together. We really got to buy something. And not for a lack of trying, we just, things were slipping through our fingers, or they weren't working, or they were going for higher, or they were out of our budget, like all of the things. We got to the last 3 weeks, and bear in mind, if you're going to buy a house, even if you bought today and you've got 3 weeks left of your settlement, you can't necessarily move in 3 weeks, because the settlement period might be like 6 weeks. So then where are you going to live for 3 weeks, right? We thought, well, maybe we'll rent, and then we might, we'll just have longer to find a house. But ideally, we didn't want to have to do that, because then, you're moving twice, the cost of renting, like all of the things, right? And also, we didn't want it to be too disruptive for our kids as well. So we found this house. We negotiated with the lawyers of this house to put in the contract that it could be a 13-day settlement. A 13-day settlement, right? Which is, when I tell people that, they're like, how is that even possible? And I'm like, you know what? You don't ask, you don't get. We asked, and we had it amended in the contract so that when we went to auction, the opportunity was there for us to buy it and have a 13-day settlement. So anyway, we do that. We're looking around at a couple of different properties. This house, the auction comes up, and we get here on the day. I was way too chilled and relaxed. I don't know why, but I got here and I was I was a bit late. I was letting Zara, the auction was 1 p.m. and Zara was sleeping. I didn't want to get her up early. And Vic's texting me where are you? And I'm like, well, Zara's still asleep. I'll be there soon. I was just very chilled about the whole thing. Got here. Everyone else is stressing. My family, my in-laws were there, my husband, everyone's very heightened in their energy, right? Very heightened. And I'm like, what will be, will be. I feel like we will be walking out of this house with it ours, but what will be, will be. I trust, and I know that, there is a bigger plan, and everything's going to be okay, right? What's the worst that happens? We don't get this house, and then we settle on the house that we've just sold, and we move it into a rental. It's all good, guys. It's all good. Anyway, again, right? People thought I was mad. I would talk to people and they'd be like, oh, I saw the sold sign on your house. Where are you moving? And I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? Oh my God. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm all good, right? Again, some people will get it and some people won't get your plans. And this could go for your life decisions, your business, a myriad of different things, right? And you just got to hold grace and go and just trust yourself, whether people get it or not, right? So anyway, we're at the auction, we're at the house. We go out the back. The kids are there. So, that was a whole nother level of trying to get them calm for this auction. We go out the back and the bidding begins. It starts to increase. I'm observing there's a lot of people here, but I realized that there's only one other bidder. No one else was bidding. Everyone else was just there to sticky beak, on the street and whatnot. So anyway, this other bidder is going neck for neck with us. The auctioneer, whose job it is obviously to get the price up to as high as possible, keeps really egging her on. She ends up saying that, she's at her limit, she can't go any further. And he's like, what about $1,000? Or what about 10,000? What about 1,000? What about 500? Literally, I'm like, what, are we going to be friggin' doing $2 next? This is an auction, if she's at a limit, she's at a limit. Anyway, but she starts to bid minimal amounts. And what came over me, I can only describe as if you've ever felt a fiery spurt of energy as a mother, it's if your kid suddenly ran on the street and you were 10 meters away, somehow you have a rocket fuel that makes you run 200 kilometers an hour, right? When you get that energy, if you're a mum, you'll know this, or even if you're not, you've probably can pinpoint something in your life where you've just had this burst of fire and you've done something that you're like, wow, I didn't know I was capable of that, or wow, that really made the situation, or wow, that determination just came from nowhere, right? That's what I felt. in this moment. So this woman's bidding, she's an investor, and I just thought, I looked at the house and literally what went through my mind was, this woman is an investor. She could literally buy anywhere. She could buy anywhere and invest and make a great investment, right? And you guys know I've spoken about investment properties a lot on this podcast. I'm all for it. It's exactly what we're doing, right? And also there's another layer to it where when we are also living here as a family. We have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old. They go to school, they go to preschool, they go to daycare in this area. Like, we are geographically a little bit capped because we don't want to be too far from those three things. So I had this surge of fire in my heart where I was like, you know what? You can buy anywhere. This is our house. Like, this is our house. We are standing in our house right now. We need this. We have gone to the bother and the trouble and the money of like amending the contract for a 13-day settlement, buying the building and pest report, like, you know, figuring out that actually one of my middle child's friends lives across the road, like starting to, get to know the area, all of the things. And I was like, in my heart, I just knew that this was the right decision for our family. I was like, I can't explain it. I just knew. I was like, we need to fight for this house, even if it means going over our budget. So she had kind of showed her cards and said that she was at her limit. We hadn't said that yet. Anyway, the auctioneer is like trying to egg her on to get her to go higher, whatever. And I just looked her straight in the eyes and said, we won't stop. I will sell a kidney if I have to, right? Jokingly, but kind of not jokingly. Like, well, I wasn't laughing. Everyone else kind of laughed and there was a bit of banter and whatever. But I was like, no, bitch, this is our house. Like, we are getting this house if it is the last thing I do. Like, I was just like, I am not walking out of this house without calling it my home. Needless to say, we won. And there is a very funny video. I have like contemplated posting it, but there's a little bit of people talking over it and stuff to see. But my father-in-law actually got on video me saying, we won't stop, and like looking her in the eye and saying that across the deck, because she's on the other side of the deck to me. And Vic's like kind of elbowing me like, shut up. Like, don't say stuff like that. And I'm like, no, like she doesn't know that we won't stop. She doesn't know that we're at our limit. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't have stopped if I had to like find the money elsewhere. Like, this is the thing. This is also, we're on a Rich Bitch era podcast right here. We're talking money, right? Money can be made. Yes, if we went over horrendously, then it wouldn't have been worth the investment. And we don't want to stretch ourselves to the point of that. But if it's worth the investment and you know that it's something that's going to get you the ROI, like sometimes that requires stretching. Sometimes that requires like really digging deep and going there. And luckily we didn't have to really go. We went like 10K over our budget or something, like not really that much. But in the end, we got it. And I don't want to say that I won the auction, but there was definitely a change in the energy from saying that, from just being like, I'm all in, like we will not stop, right? And the reason I'm sharing this story is because this is what I see in the people that really make it online and in the business space. They go all in. They are willing to just like literally put everything on the line, go all in, back themselves and go and have that surge of courage and take action from that place. Like, sometimes it doesn't make sense to other people. Like, I don't think anyone else there at that auction would have been as abrupt and like direct as what I was when I literally looked you in the eyes and said, we won't stop. Right? Not many people would do that. I don't preach these things of like going all in with your energy and practicing what you preach and, really taking courageous action regardless of what other people will do. You know what's right for you. You know what's right for your family, and you've got to back yourself in your decision making. I don't say all of this lightly without doing it in my own personal life. So I did that at the auction, and we did walk out with it being our home. We had a 13-day settlement. So funny, we're 13 minutes into the podcast. We had a 13-day settlement and we moved in last weekend. So as at the time of recording this podcast, we have only been here for 7 nights. Like, it is brand spanking new in our life. It was a huge move, like 6 months of selling a house, looking for a house, packing up a house, which if you've moved with kids, holy moly, do you have some shit to pack when you move with kids. It's big, right? And then the actual move and then the unpacking and settling kids into new rooms and new spaces. And, like there's a lot. It's also a big capacity to hold as a mother because, of course, my highest priority is my family feeling settled and nesting here and, making the place a home and explaining to the kids, because this house isn't the grand, beautiful house that we had, but we know that, I'll get to the investment side in a moment, but we know we've got big plans for it. It's really exciting. It's great bones. It's a brick house. Like, we're not going to knock it down. Absolutely not. Like, I don't believe in knocking down a house unless it's really necessary. And it's like, falling down around you or doesn't have good structural integrity, which was our previous house. But I've had to try to explain to an 8-year-old, my 5-year-old doesn't really care, and my 2-year-old obviously does not care at all. Like, she doesn't really get it. As long as we're here, she feels safe and she's happy. But my 8-year-old was like, this house doesn't have such a big backyard. We can't ride to the beach as easy. Privileged boy. We could ride to the beach because it was all flat and now it's like hilly and he's like literally looking at like $1 million view, which of course he doesn't get or understand. He's 8 and he's a boy, but he's like, I want to play soccer. I want to ride my bike to the beach, blah, blah, all these things, right? Which in the grand scheme of things, like, mate, seriously, you've got a very blessed life. Like, so I always talk to him about gratitude. I'm like, do you realize how blessed we are to have what we have, right? So I have this conversation with him, but then I also say to him, sometimes you're in a season where might feel like you're going backwards, but you're actually going forwards, and actually bringing him on the journey of our bigger vision, right? And like our bigger vision of having our dream home, of course, with the big backyard, possibly a pool as well, which, they don't care too much about, but I know if we had it, they would love it. But ultimately, the biggest thing, which I don't say to him because he just won't understand it yet, but is having little to no mortgage. In a multi-million-dollar house in Sydney, that's a pretty big achievement, right? To be able to do that and have that level of freedom as a family. And so he doesn't quite get it, but he's starting to, as with any home, what makes it the home is the family. What makes it the home is like the fun you have, the experiences that you have, the love that you share as a family, which we've already had some beautiful times in here and had some family over on the weekend as well. So that's the season that I've been in at the moment. It has been huge. It has been all consuming. And it also has been one of those seasons, the last 6 months, that has really highlighted to me that not everyone does this and not everyone understands the decisions that we have made. Many, many, many people have said to me, like, I can't believe you're moving. Like, you've only just moved in there, which, it's been 1.5 years, but most people's timelines, it's shorter, right? All of these things. And it's like, we looked at this and we knew financially it is a much better decision to move. We were in a way better position financially. We were able to cash in on a lot of equity, like almost $1 million in equity from selling the place, which you can't, we don't want to take out in equity. We wanted to sell and then be able to buy and have much more to put towards the house. We now have a house that we will be able to renovate and live in a beautiful space, but also, like actually renovate and add value to that way without knocking down and rebuilding, which is an enormous cost and also means that you obviously have to move because there's no house to live in. So this next one will just add to the equity that we have so that our long-term goal, which again is not many people do this, especially with kids, like moving a couple of times, but our long-term goal is that low mortgage. It is that having a bit more money to invest in different streams of income and different ways, and, also being able to do this a couple of times because we've started to learn the skills. And I feel if you've learnt the skills for something, you may as well be using it. You may as well be monetizing it. You may as well be continually practicing and getting better at it. So that's our next move. We've got a building designer coming on Wednesday, and we're going to look at like what is actually possible because we have all these ideas, but we also need to make sure that structurally they're possible. So I will be documenting my journey. I'm not sure if I'm going to start a new Instagram for this house or do it on my Instagram. I'm still tossing up. But that is our next move. We're not going to rush into it. We're pretty happy just like chilling and, like not doing anything for a year or so, but just at least having an idea and a concept in our minds. And this is often rich bitch moves, right? Like they will make sense to you that you know what the long-term goal is, you know what the payoff is and what the return on that investment is. But it doesn't necessarily look like what other people expect from you or what other people would do in that situation. Like it's funny because I have so much financial success in my business as well. Like I think people think that they would live a different way if they were me or if they lived, if they earned what I earn. But ultimately, I just have a different perspective with money as well. I don't want to go and, splash all my cash on designer stuff or on, I do love designer things. I love good quality things, but I don't want to spend all of my money versus investing it, right? Investing it wisely and setting myself up for my future. And actually having something to show for my success as well. Like if you're constantly spending money versus investing it, what happens if you lose it all? Like if you lost your business or your income tomorrow, what would you have to show for it? Would you have assets? Would you have investments? Would you have multiple streams of income, or would you have nothing because you've just been living off that money, right? So there's some rich bitch moves, which I've been talking about a lot on the podcast lately, that you've just got to back yourself on and understand it yourself. As long as you're not letting down yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think. It does not matter. And that brings me to my next point around success in the online space and really backing yourself in your decisions. So I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that there are some things that I notice come up when people are at certain levels of experience in their business. There's these like rites of passage that happen right at the beginning of your journey. And then there's these rites of passage that happen when you've had some huge success and you're like edging on the verge of your next level, right? So I'm going to call them rites of passage. I'm not going to call them mistakes. They're like rites of passage that if you overcome these, you really do have a lot of success in business. At the beginning, the biggest rites of passage to move through, there's two of them. I see this in everyone. And, people come in with varying degrees of this depending on their experience. The first one is giving a shit about what other people think. If you've been in the online space, if you build a personal brand, if you've been maybe in like another network marketing company, or you've been a coach, or you've had some sort of presence online doing something, then you might come in already having overcome that, or already, kind of on your journey with like not caring about what other people think. If you've never done anything online, never done anything public, never really like been a content creator in any way, shape or form, it can feel really revealing, like you're really exposing yourself and especially if you're a bit of a black sheep in your family group, in your friendship group, in your, just in your circle around doing something online, it might feel really big for you to step out there and actually share yourself and create a personal brand. And also, you've got to back yourself. You've got to go all in and actually not care about what other people think, because if you can do this well, and the biggest advice I would give on this topic is segmenting in your mind the people that you love and care about and have a friendship with or a relationship with because maybe they're family, and what they are to you versus what they may think about your business. So I'll give you some examples. Like your best friend, it's their job to be your best friend. Your sister, your brother, your mum, your dad, your auntie, it's their job to just be your family member. It is not their job to be your business cheerleader. It's not their job to be a business coach. It's not their job to be your financial advisor, right? Likewise, you'll have backlash from people who actually are seeing your stuff and experiencing it as a mirror. It might be a mirror to them on the potential that they have inside of them that they're not using. It might be a mirror to them that they are also unhappy in their job and their life, but they're not doing anything about it, and you have. You might be a mirror to them on how you're taking ownership of your life, your finances, your financial, situation. You're really like owning all of these things and like, creating a solution and a plan to improve them. And they may not be. And maybe they're in the victimhood, and maybe they actually are really triggered by seeing that from you, right? And what you've got to remember is someone more successful than you who's doing cooler shit, edgier stuff, like really going there, making more money, more success, having a happier, more fulfilled life, and a lot more choice. That's the other thing. You can have all the money in the world, but have absolutely no choice if you're, like absolutely married to your job and your laptop or your phone or your boss or your company, and you don't actually get to live your life. People that are more successful, more like happy, more fulfilled than you will never discourage you for going after your dreams. The only people that will discourage you for going after your dreams are the people triggered by your success. If you wouldn't exchange your life with them, if you wouldn't exchange bank balances with them, if you wouldn't exchange businesses or like day-to-day life with them, don't worry about what they think. Love them, bless them, release them. Their job likely is not to be your business cheerleader or your business coach or your financial advisor anyway, right? Like these are the type of people that are influential in your life. Yes, they may even be your partner, right? Or your sibling or whatever it is. But you've got to really bless and release sometimes and just go like, I'm on my path. I trust myself. I back myself. And I'm not caring about what people think, because this business, this goal, this financial goal, whatever it is, your vision is more important than what other people think. It's more important, right? The other thing is, so that's the first rite of passage when you're new. The other one is going all in. At any point, you can go all in and really build the foundations of success for you and your family at any point. In the business that I mentor, I went all in. Within my first 12 months, I'd replaced my income. I was like, I'm going all in because the sooner I get to my goal, the sooner I can live the rest of my life that way. The rest of my life as my own boss, the rest of my life as having huge, very abundant, multi-5-figure months for me and my family. The sooner I get there, the sooner I build passive income, the sooner I get there, the sooner I get to, design my own days, do whatever the hell I want because I'm my own boss. Like the sooner you get there to your goal, whatever your goal may be, the sooner you get to live the rest of your life that way. So why would you not go all in? If you don't go all in, all you're doing is prolonging the journey to get there. It's going to take longer. It's going to take longer. There's going to be more hurdles along the way because you're allowing more space and more time between where you are now and where you want to go. And it also means you're duplicating this. So if you haven't gone all in and if it's not a priority for you, then you're likely going to enable more excuses when you actually mentor other people as well. Like if they are like, oh, well, yeah, life is happening and this is happening and all of these excuses. If you've used those excuses yourself, you are likely going to enable that and validate that. Versus, my team know I'm not really the person to come to and complain about not having time. I literally built a multi-million-dollar sales business per annum with 3 kids. I don't understand people who tell me they don't have time. I genuinely don't. I have created, birthed, fed, raised children, 3 children, whilst building my business. There is no excuse. You will always find the time for that which is important and meaningful to you. And so instead of telling me you don't have the time to build your business, be honest and say it's not a priority for me to build my business right now. That I can stand behind. When it's a priority, come back to me. If it's not a priority, you won't make the time for it, right? And this is why your why and your vision has to be selfish to begin with. It has to be something that gets you out of bed. It has to be the thing that brings you to your knees, that brings you to tears. It has to be so personal to you, not someone else's vision or goal, not what you saw on social media this person is going for. What is actually meaningful to you? What would you do anything to create in your life? Like what would actually make a really big difference in your life if you were able to create it in 12 months? That's what you get behind. That's what you create. That's what you go all in on. And you lay the foundations for even bigger success to come. So those 2 things, what people think and going all in, are like really big rites of passage that I see people go through. And when they nail it, they have outrageous success, like insane success in their business. Another big thing as I mentioned, it's kind of like one of those rites of passage that more so happens, in our company, it's after a milestone called 6A. It's like you've made $300,000 in sales. You've proven that you know how to make sales. You know how to help your team make sales. You've got some success under your belt. And then this strange thing happens, and I've literally seen it with all my leaders, all of the women I coach. I only coach women who are experienced. I don't coach day oneers. And so a lot of my clients have this as well, where it's like they get to a point where they're so comfortable and used to what they've always said in their marketing and what has worked, right? But they no longer want to work with that person because they are not that person anymore. They have up-leveled so much in who they are. They're more experienced. They're more successful. They've, been around the block. They know what they're doing. They're great coaches and mentors by this point, right? But they haven't leveled up who they're speaking to. And so they continue to attract the same kind of person, but they are not the same person. And it starts to either frustrate them or it starts to discourage them. So then they're not really that inspired by their business and who they're speaking with and, all of the things, because they're not really attracting the woman who they are a match energetically for. So the up level is a necessary rite of passage. It's like this upgrade needs to happen in every part of your business, which can feel really overwhelming. It's like you're like, oh, who am I? It's like starting from scratch again, right? On your brand, your message, the person you're speaking to, your content, your bio, everything, every tiny little thing, but also the bigger, broader vision of who are you speaking to? And I did this reel on this that got a lot of traction on basically the upgrade and saying, you're not talking to turkeys. We ain't building chicken farms here, right? We're building empires. So talk to people like they have experience, like then they know what you're talking about. Talk to people who are your ideal person. My ideal woman is already in the online space. She's already doing network marketing, affiliate marketing, online business coaching. She's already doing something, right? Selling courses, selling digital products. Like this ain't her first rodeo, right? Like she is not someone who is day one, who's never done anything online before, doesn't know how to post a reel, doesn't whatever, right? Like that's not my ideal person. And so I don't talk to that person in my content. I talk to someone experienced. I talk to my dream business partner, right? That's who I talk to in my content. And regardless of your business, you need to know who that is. You need to know who your ideal target market is, right? And if you don't, it's not going to hit. It's going to be really wishy-washy. It's going to be vague. It's not going to hit the mark. It's not going to make people feel seen and resonate with your content. It's actually going to it's not even going to be scroll stopping, right? It's just going to be boring, to be honest. It's basic bitch stuff. Like that's not what we're here for, right? And so I've seen this countless times of like the upgrade needs to happen, but there's a little bit of imposter syndrome. There's a little bit of like, am I ready? There's a little bit of, oh, but can I hold that person if I attract that person? And there's a lot of, but this is my comfort zone. This is the angle I've always taken. This is the person that I know I could continue to make sales to. This is the person that I have made sales to before. And it's like, you've got to feel okay with and be comfortable with upgrading and committing to that. Otherwise, you're going to upgrade for a little bit and then go back into your ways. Upgrade for a little bit and then go back into your ways. And it's not consistent. It's not consistent who you're speaking to. And it doesn't build rapport with those people either because they're just seeing you flip-flopping all over the place. And I have seen this a lot as well with people who get clarity on who the upgraded, target market is, but then flip-flop back to the person that they were speaking to who's day one, when they were day one. So you've got to commit. If you're going to upgrade, you've got to commit. Think of it as a permanent change. It's not something that you get to choose each day. It's a permanent change. So the upgrade is everything. The upgrade in your messaging, in who you even visualize and think about when you're writing a post or when you're creating content. Like, who are you thinking about? You've noticed this. If you haven't, go back and look at my own content this year, right? The last 6 months since the beginning of the year. Since I went offline, I did my big iconic photo shoot, my Rich Bish relaunch, my podcast relaunch, like all of it, right? And and this is also what can happen, you have a bit of a lull because people are used to seeing a certain type of content, and then you start to attract new people in, and they need to build rapport with you and whatnot as well. So then I enrolled this incredible woman who is experienced. She made $1 million in 15 months with Amazon reviews and Amazon review courses. So she's in affiliate marketing. She's experienced. She's got a huge following, personal brand, all of the things, right? And I've been working closely with her, and it lights me up so much because we just speak the same language. We're such an energetic match. She's such a gun, such a powerhouse. I'm going to have her on the podcast soon. And that happened because when she came to my page and she found me, she knew I was the person for her. She knew I was an energetic match, and she had seen this business opportunity from 4 other people. And she was like, I just have not pulled the trigger because none of them felt like the right fit until I found you. And that's really important. You've got to trust that. Yes, you might have a bit of a quieter period as you're transitioning, but you've got to understand that for the greater good of your business and the people that you can serve, if you are dulling down your message and dumbing it down, honestly, I can't say this. I'm just not going to sugarcoat because this is what you need to hear. Stop dumbing down your message. That is why you are attracting someone that's not lighting you up to work with. You need to speak to people like they are on the same wavelength as you. Otherwise, you are going to attract people who are not on the same wavelength as you and who are not an energetic match. So up-level that messaging, sister. It has to happen. It has to happen, and it has to be something you commit to. It has to be something that you commit to once and you show up that way always. Otherwise, continuing to just fall back into old habits, old patterns, old messaging that just is comfortable and, gets traction, might get the likes, all of this, but isn't really attracting the right person, it's going to confuse your audience, right? Just because it's worked before doesn't mean it's where you are right now. And it doesn't mean that it's going to serve you in the season of your business that you're in right now as well, right? So already I have about 25K coming in from that one person that was attracted to me because of this up level. So the ROI is off the charts, right? When you do this and you do this properly. I wasn't even planning on doing this, but now that the more I talk about this, the more passionate I am. I think I might actually do a live Q&A hot seat coaching session on this because it's so important to do. It's so important for your brand. So I'm going to put it in the Rich Bish the Rich Bish Academy, School Academy, the details for it. So if you're not in there, feel free to go in there. It's a free school community. I'll put it in the show notes, and all of my mini courses and whatnot are in there. But this is part of my upgrade. I started that school community because I'm running ads and selling short courses and little things, low ticket products, to attract the right type of person that is already in the online space, right? And then they come into my school community, they get to know me, and the goal is to upgrade the business to a Enagic and to upsell them to working with me in this business, right? My goal has never been, and it will never be, well, never say never, but it's certainly not coaching. That is not my jam. I don't see it as a very time leveraged business model. I love doing it when I can help people and serve people, but my goal always is building out my Enagic business, because I know that when you do one thing and you do it well, then you can always use that income in multiple ways to create the multiple streams of income rather than multiple businesses. So that's why I created the Rich Bish Academy, which again, is a way to also show my credibility, my authority, how much value I have to give. It also does serve the community that I'm a part of. Many people that are not in my team would never have access to me or my trainings or anything if I didn't have this space. So that also, from a contribution point of view, feels really good for me. And also it's been a big part of my upgrade and feels really good from that perspective too. So that's something that I launched a couple months ago as part of this upgrade. So I'll pop that in the show notes and you can check that out. And I'll do a hot seat coaching on this and on specifically just how to show up online when you have had success and you are on your journey, not from a day one, but if you've had, I want to say 10 or more people that you have coached and mentored in your business, then you're probably, you're still in that beginning. You haven't really had enough people to say that you're quite experienced, right? But you're starting to get there. Once you start to get to like the 20 plus mark, like, I would say comfortably I would have enrolled about 120 people by this point. But once you're starting to get to, what I see in the people that I coach is it's usually about like 20 or so people. That's when you've had enough experience where you're like, yeah, my next level's coming. My next level's coming. It's like almost here already, but I just don't know how to step into that. And that too will potentially trigger people. It might trigger your team. It might trigger like your inner child of like, am I good enough? Can I really speak to this? Like, am I experienced enough? Like, there's so much that it can trigger that, again, you've got to back yourself and go all in and be like, nah, I made this decision. I'm going to act on it. I'm going to follow through with it. Like me at the auction, right? Coming back to that. It's like you've got to really back yourself and know that you've made the right decision and just commit to it. It's like my husband always says, like, you can't be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't be half pregnant. Go all in. You either are or you aren't, right? And if you are, it's your identity. It's who you are. It's literally happening whether you like it or not. Like, you are 100% in. You can't just wake up one day and not be that or be that, right? It's like you literally have made the decision. Assume it as your identity. Assume the identity of the up-leveled person that you are speaking to. So I hope this was valuable around really backing yourself, of not caring about what other people think, of going all in, and of really up-leveling, upgrading, like taking it next level, the person that you're speaking to, owning it, and not making that a daily decision, making that decision once and owning it and really living up to that standard. Because also this one may cut deep. It may trigger some people. It isn't the easiest pill to swallow, but what you tolerate persists. And I know you'll have every reason under the sun to tell me why you're tolerating it, be that the results that you're having or not having in your business, or the money that you are on or are not earning, right? If you're tolerating that, though, it will persist. Of course it will, because you're allowing that to be your reality. You're accepting that as a standard, right? You will never experience less than your minimum standard. I'll say that again. You will never you'll never experience less than your minimum standard. But that also means you won't accept more than your minimum standard if you're allowing that to be the thing that you tolerate. So if you're under financial pressure right now, but you're tolerating it and it's a long-term thing for you that you live month to month, that is going to persist as your reality. If you're not having results in the business that you have and you're allowing that to continue to happen, you're tolerating it, then of course it's going to continue. So you've got to raise your standards. You've got to raise your standards. And the reason I'm saying this is because, often if you're not attracting the person that you really want to work with, you're allowing that, you're tolerating that. So of course it's going to continue to happen within your business. Same with anything in life. Like if you are not happy in your relationship, if you're tolerating a subpar, like, just a relationship where there's a lot of issues or whatever it is, like we could go so many different areas with relationships, but if you're tolerating that as a standard, that's the standard, then it's going to persist. So raise your standards. This goes beyond a business chat. Raise your standards, because what you tolerate will persist. It will be continually what you get in life. So really think about that and really think about where you could maybe apply that in your life as well. So I will see you in Rich Bish Academy. I loved hanging out today. I look forward to hearing more from you. And don't forget, you can message the Rich Bish podcast Instagram with topics or questions. Like if you've got a specific scenario or question you want answered on the podcast, feel free to shoot that through. If there was some value that you got from today, I would love to hear it, or feel free to post it on your stories and tag me or the Rich Bish podcast Instagram. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.